Thank you very much. Thank you, Joseph, for the invitation. Thank you to The Economist. I was here in November. I was in office at that time, as you know, and it was a storm day. I'm now here. I'm out of office with the sun, so I leave to you all the consideration about this coincidence. 7 minutes, so I will try to be very brief. I'm a fan of football. Mourinho and Ancelotti, they play with 4-4-2 or 4-4-3-3. I propose a simple 1-3-2. 1, negative awareness, 3 conditions to change, and 2 final remarks. 1, negative awareness. Mario Monti yesterday spoke about the market fatigue. I will propose to you an Euromed fatigue. We speak about Euromed since many years. Barcelona, I think we remember, 95. Now we are in a fully Euromed fatigue. A new legislature at the European level is yet to start. Is a legislature with the need for growth, but also with the need of the Mediterranean at the top of the agenda. We hadn't, in these 5 very difficult years, the Mediterranean at the top of the agenda. But this frustration was because, of course, of the crisis in the Eurozone, but also because of the instability in the northern part of Africa and in the Middle East. In these years, the Mediterranean was again a problem, not an opportunity. And for countries like Malta or like Italy, this is a negative precondition. The instability, the violence, civil wars, plus the financial crisis in the euro area created an explosive and destructive mix. And of course, for that, the Mediterranean became the last priority automatically. So, 3 conditions to change. The first condition is, of course, decisive to have stability, political stability, to overcome instability, violences, civil wars, and is essential to have recovery in the northern part of the Mediterranean. We have, in my view, to understand that mobility partnerships are a success until now, but we have to develop from this mobility partnership example, we have to develop in stronger and wider ties the relationship between the European Union and the single countries in the Mediterranean. It's absolutely necessary, of course, for us, but also for the general recovery in the European Union. Without a recovery in the Mediterranean, without stability in the Mediterranean, without overcoming civil wars and difficulties in the energy supply chain, it will be very difficult to have a complete recovery in the Mediterranean. It's the first condition, and I think it will be the first goal for the next European institutions. The second, of course, is linked to one of the most important subjects with which people like Joseph or myself, Mario Monti before me, we had the opportunity and the difficult task to deal. Of course, is the problems of the migration flows. We had a year 2013 very difficult, of course, and probably the year 2014 will be difficult as such. I think we have to be very clear. The next European Council in June has to take the subject, the changes. I think the discussion on the institutional framework, Dublin Treaty and so on, is impossible to continue like that. It's absolutely necessary to implement the 38 measures that the task force that we built up in October presented in June, and in my view is decisive to avoid to have the Mediterranean as, again, a dead sea. There is no prosperity in the area if the Mediterranean will be again a dead sea. This is why I think on the migration flows is necessary a general alliance. We have to oblige all the European Union to take and to put this point at the top of the agenda. We have to continue the Rabat process. That was an important one, a successful one until now, but we have to extend this process because it's decisive to deal with the countries, not only the countries in the north part of Africa, but also in the rest of the region, because we know very well from where people is arriving here, from Somalia, from Eritrea, and so on. So the third condition to change, the institutional framework of the Euromed activity. It's not easy, of course. It's not easy because from Barcelona to l'Union pour la Méditerranée, 5+5, Malta had a very important leadership role, and Malta hosted here an important 5+5 summit at the level of head of states and government. I think we have to put this point at the top of the agenda of the next legislature. We have to make a choice, but we have to find an institutional framework able to put together all the leaders, and not for ceremonial events, but for discussing, for knowing each other and for taking decisions, important decisions, for making our public opinion aware about our common destiny, as the Prime Minister of Morocco already said. Two final remarks. Yesterday we discussed about the UK. I think The Economist is interested in this crucial point. I think the future of the Mediterranean is linked to the fact that the UK will stay on board of the European Union, because the UK is not a northern European country like Sweden or Finland or Lithuania. They can have the Mediterranean not at the top of their agenda. For the UK it's different, of course. We are in Malta, I can easily develop this crucial point. And we need to have the UK on board, and the UK in the Mediterranean will play and is playing a crucial role. So I think it will be very important to help the UK to remain on board and to have 2017 a success on this referendum. But, and it's my final remark, I think we need leadership in the Mediterranean. And my proposal is not my job to make proposals here, but I'm a friend of Joseph, so I can do that. This conference was a success. It's the first conference. I think the common leadership of The Economist and Malta's government can create here a sort of exercise in continuity, in trying to have here in Malta. Malta is a natural place where we can discuss easily about the future of the region without crying, without only crying. And I think The Economist, of course, is the best place in the world. Is a demonstration that all the discussion about the end of the printing press are over, because it's a weekly press of success, and you are the future. You are not only the past. And I think the cooperation between The Economist and Malta can be very important, because if The Economist continues to say that the Mediterranean is important for the future of Europe, that will be important for us, the Mediterranean too. So Joseph, take this leadership. It will be important for all of us. Thank you.